Welcome back to the channel. In this video we will be looking at generating new ideas and looking at different scenarios on which you can generate new ideas and looking at the big what if question. First of all, I would like to share a quote with you from Stephen King's amazing memoir on writing, which is called On Writing. If you don't have the time to read, then you don't have the time or the tools to write. Like we said in the previous video, active reading is essential to this aspect of improving your creativity and trying to generate new ideas when it comes to trying to generate or create an original voice for yourself, or try to create an original work of fiction. Active reading is very useful, however there's a couple of downfalls when it comes to active reading, and some people fall into this trap, and that is copying. Copying, or at least borrowing different ideas can come off as quite pastiche or cliche, or it definitely hampers your ability to tell an original story. So often if it is a very popular cliche or pastiche, then it's been done before. It's something that's not original, and it's something that if somebody reads your work, they'll think, from a critical standpoint anyway, it's been done before, why should I read this when, why should I read this vampire novel if there's Bram Stoker's Dracula, for example? You have to try and create something new, you have to try and bring something interesting, something shocking, something, again, just new or innovative to this perspective, and I definitely think reading can do this, but wider reading is the best way you can do this. As long as you aren't consuming your own voice, you're trying to stay original to yourself, you're trying to avoid pastiche or cliche in your work, then I think that's definitely an important aspect when trying to generate new ideas. Try not to be influenced by the ideas of others. You can definitely be influenced by them, but there's a fine line between influenced and heavily inspired by. Maintain that originality of your own voice and your own work by trying to make it different, trying to make it unique, trying to make it more crazy, or try to make it sadder, or try to make it again, just trying to look at it from a different perspective is what I'm trying to say. Compartmentalizing writing and editing in the process of writing is definitely a very important thing that you must do. When you write, it doesn't really necessarily matter about the quality, you're supposed to just generate new ideas. In my experience, it definitely hampers my own work. So again, 2 years ago, my own experience. 2 years ago, I used to edit as I went. I wasn't never happy with something, so I always used to edit and edit and edit and edit and edit and edit. I should edit this video too.
Day 2.
I think too many writers try to edit as they go, and it definitely hampers their ability to finish things. So for me, I had so many short stories where I was editing and editing, and actually one of those short stories turned out to be one of the chapters, I'm not going to say which, but of my book Old Eyes. And again, I just wasn't happy with it, and I just kept editing it relentlessly, and I would never stop. I would never finish it. If I never moved on to the step of just get the first draft done and to write and think of editing as a process that I would do later, I would have never finished my book. I would have still been writing it and editing it and trying to nurture each character and things. But the thing that really worked for me was allowing myself just to write it. And because the characters, the story, it grew organically, it was something that seemed very natural to me, to just allow it to grow naturally with me as I went along with the story too, as I was writing it. Again, the quality isn't as good, but your comprehension of your own story is so much better if you just write it and you don't edit as you go. So I teach a few different writing workshops. We've been doing haikus recently, and something that we've been doing in those workshops, which a lot of the writers in those workshops have found really difficult, is simply just being very uncomfortable, leaving something not perfect behind, and then moving on to the next scene, or moving on to the next poem, or moving on to the next something. But it's definitely useful, because when you do go back to the beginning, you do go back to that first one, it improves your comprehension so much. For me, my character Mallory Sims, I allowed him to grow and to discover him in the story as I wrote the first draft. By the time I did go back to the beginning, he changed as a person, and the expectations of what that character would do in the scenes, I understood a lot more. And that allowed me to edit my work from a more informed point of view. I know the difficulty of being informed from an author's point of view, because technically you're God, but not really, but kind of. I'm not saying not to edit as you go, because it will work for some people. It's just me personally, I've seen a lot of writers definitely fail because they keep editing and they never finish anything. Me, myself, I've experienced this too, so definitely, if you're one of those people who strives for perfection, ignore perfection and just move on, because it will help your writing a lot more in the long run. Not caring about mistakes, very important, but also wider reading is so important. Again, I'll share some of my experiences. So I was writing a science fiction story, wherein I wanted, humanity to travel amongst the stars, just as any other science fiction story set in the future. However, I was really struggling with this idea of how do I make it original, faster than light travel's been done and theorized about in Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, there's certain aspects of that, and literally it's been done before. If I did do that, it wouldn't be original, wouldn't necessarily be interesting. So again, it brings me back to this point where, if I'm writing a vampire story, for example, what makes mine stand out? I could just read Bram Stoker's Dracula. Why do I want to read this author's story? Or why do I want to read this author's story? There has to be hooks, there has to be something that makes it unique. So for me, wider reading proved to be incredibly valuable for this. So for example, I was reading theoretical science, I was reading into a lot of quantum theory, wormhole theory, and again, I did a lot of research on that and how, theoretically you could produce a wormhole. And I found out, it requires a lot of exotic matter or exotic energy from that exotic matter. And then I was trying to think, okay, well, what exotic matter energies are there? And I started reading about, into fantasy literature, looking at different aspects of what could be classed as exotic materials. And again, I finally settled on dark matter being what would fuel this faster than kind of travel, where they would open dark tunnels basically, where it would basically rip into space and create this dark tunnel, kind of like a wormhole. But then it got me thinking, because in the story I had this theme of technology corrupting people, and I was like, okay, how does technology corrupt people in this universe? And then obviously this is a big major technology that it's needed for the golden age of humanity, traveling amongst the stars. So I thought about, okay, what does this technology bring? And then it got me thinking about, okay, it's a wormhole, but what do wormholes mean? And then it got me into more wider reading about different dimensions, dimensional theories and things. So I decided, okay, it was a different dimension. What is this dimension? What qualities, what properties does it have? And again, kept reading, kept coming up with different ideas. Again, active reading as I go, taking notes. And yeah, I got so inspired and motivated to try and find out more and try and improve myself that I came up with these crazy theories that there was an alien dimension where something lived there and it corrupted the technology, and that's how it spread out into this world, but people didn't really know it because the government hush-hushed it. And again, this built a story organically on its own, and then yeah, it's just something that happened because of wider reading. Another thing, I was writing a fantasy story, and then I was inspired by a TED Talk by Elon Musk. He was talking about the potential of a neural lace in the future. A neural lace is, I don't know if you know, but it's basically a connection port basically attached to your brain where you could directly interface with computers, AI, or the internet, things like that. And again, it got me thinking in a fantasy setting, because I wanted something for these creatures. It was kind of like a fantasy horror story, so these creatures would connect with people. But again, telepathy, magical things, I was just trying to think of a way where it could be more organic, something that's part to do with their physiology. And then when I watched that video by Neural Lace, it got me thinking, and again, these creatures have a kind of webbing which they attach to your brain, and then it's kind of like a neural lace, they interface with you, and that's how they infect you, that's how they control you basically, rather than the stereotypical magical thing or in a fantasy novel anyway. Wider reading is so important. Read things that are not related, because you never know when these what if questions are going to come up. What if this works like this, or what if so and so happens? And it allows you to just develop your story again more organically. It allows you to build something from a more informed viewpoint. And again, knowledge is everything when you're a writer. Again, like that quote at the beginning by Stephen King, you need to read if you want to have the tools to write. If you really like this video, please give me a like in the like box down below. And if you have any questions, if you have any advice, I'm definitely welcome to critique. I want these videos to get better for you guys. So definitely let me know in the comments below as well if you have any advice on how I can improve my production quality or improve these videos in general. Or if you just have some questions or you just want to drop a thanks, then that would be fantastic as well. Subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. I'll be releasing a video every Tuesday, and some irregular videos I will also be releasing as like special videos. I'm planning to hopefully do some interviews in the future too. Otherwise, I hope you have a good time, and I hope that you've taken something away today from this video. Again, check out Stephen King's book in the description below. Fantastic book, will be amazing. Again, it's just an amazing read. Again, active reading. Try and take some notes. Try and think of it from a writer's viewpoint. Take his experience to heart, because again, I did. Like, it's so good. As I always say, well, I try to say anyway, unless I forget, but I don't want to forget because I'm a writer. Definitely check out the first 2 chapters for free of my book Old Eyes on my website danielpryor.com. You can check them out for free. You know, don't need to pay anything to do that, and if you fancy buying my book afterwards, that's a bonus. If not, then I hope you enjoyed the first 2 chapters. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.